Let me take you through the materials and equipment you're going to need for doing this beginner's course. I am assuming that you are all starting from scratch, and therefore you're going to be either looking around the house for an old paint box or going out and buying something. So I've kept the materials and equipment to the bare minimum. Please be guided by budget. You will need a little sketch pad. Size is up to you, it can be bigger. I would suggest double that size just to get you started. Because of the way we're going to be working, we're going to use just a pen to begin with for making marks. So you could get a nice felt tip pen, or you could even use a biro if you wish. That's entirely up to you. Later on through this course you will be working in pencil. So the pencil I recommend is called a 2B up here. Pencils, the middle range of a pencil is an HB. If you go harder, they go into H, and if you go softer, they are called B pencils. All that means is that the softer the pencil, the more lead and less graphite. So for this purpose, you want to go for something that's fairly soft, okay? So that's your pencil. You will also need something for erasing your pencil marks, and this is called an art eraser. Get it out of the box to show you. Oh, these are very good because they are very soft. You can actually sort of mould it. Okay, so that's great if you're working on something and you want to really get into a tiny area. So that is the eraser you are looking for. Don't use the usual white ones that you can get at school. They can leave pencil marks quite often. Your paint box. If you are buying a paint box, again, be governed by the budget, what you can afford. And when they come, you will find that usually they are beautifully wrapped and labelled and in cellophane and all the rest of it. But make sure that you have looked at the side to see if the name is printed off, because sometimes, printed on rather, sometimes they aren't printed there. So if you rip off all the wrappings and throw them away, you don't know what your colours are, so you need to remember what your colours are. So I always suggest when you have a new paint box is that you cut a little piece of paper, your watercolour paper there, and you paint a little bit of each colour and write the name. It's also a very good exercise because the colours you see, some of them look a bit grubby because this box has been used, but the colour in the pan, we call this a pan, is often nothing like it is when it's on the paper. You can get your watercolour paints in tubes or in pans like this. For an absolute beginner, I would suggest just a little box. Also look carefully at your box because you might find that it actually sort of bits come out, so you can extend it and make a bigger palette for you to mix your colours in. Okay, so that's the paint box side of things. Paint brushes, well, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. You have these natural ones, some are squirrel, some are sable. A lot are a synthetic. So a synthetic is quite good because they are less expensive. What you don't want for watercolour paints is a bristle one. They're too hard, too rough. Something like this, the idea is to hold the water and hold the paint. So you want a nice soft paintbrush. Hold it before you buy it and make sure it feels comfortable. And I would suggest something round about a size 6. For this course you will also need an old paintbrush. 2 jam jars for water, 1 to wash your brush in and 1 for clean water to mix your paints. So I hope that helps you sorting out your materials. I will add more as the course goes on about any extra things you might require. So be governed by budget. You need paint brushes that are soft and will hold the water. you need a soft pencil, and finally the paper, watercolour paper. This is very stiff. It's 130 grams, 300 grams upwards, and it's a very stiff paper, so you're looking for, if you can, 300 grams would be good, because the more you paint, the more you might use water, you might use your colours wetter. It just depends on the style you develop. So you want something that isn't going to fall to pieces after a few applications of paint with your brush. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask me.